Hello there again. I've been watching through people's videos on YouTube. A couple of them, I can't remember if I've done any responses or anything on this sort of topic. But Jay, I know, did a video about this, how we needed to slow down and all that, and Matches 860, John, did a video on this sort of topic too. I figured I'd share my little bit too. I'll backtrack a couple of months in life, back to middle of September or something. We were getting ready to, we were packing all our stuff, getting ready to put it all in storage, getting ready to put it in, getting ready for the move into this apartment here. And I was already dealing with a lot of, just my anxiety that I usually have in general, and then on top of it, the whole move thing. And then week before, like a week and a half or so before we were getting ready to move in here, the water heater in our apartment decided to send us its last hoorah. We came into the apartment and there was water all over the kitchen floor. It had gotten into the carpet. Thankfully it hadn't reached the bookshelves yet. But I think that night was like my first really I'd gone to see a counselor a couple of weeks before, get advice on anxiety and all that, so I was already starting to get help with that. Wasn't on anything to help it yet, but that night when we came home to that was like my first really bad breakdown. I was just in bed for hours while everyone else was moving things around me and packing them up, and I was finally able to break out of it enough to get my head on straight, enough to help out with things, get it all moved to the temp apartment that they'd had us transferred into until we moved out of there. But then after we got settled into the temp apartment, I'd come home and I'd just be sitting there. I'd be a babbling, grumbling wreck. And I'd be at work too, and I'd be sitting in the corner just babbling like a bloody idiot. And I have to say, a lot of people were like concerned for me, because they were like, that is not you. It's like because I was like a completely different person than I usually am. And finally, my wife called up the counselor, got got advice from her, and she told us to see a regular doctor, and they could get me started on some stuff that would help it. So got into the doctor a couple days later. Took a Had to take a couple of days off of work because I couldn't. I just. Oh no. That. I had to go back again. I had to. Yeah, but thankfully I had a long weekend that first time around with the breakdowns to deal with it, and got in to see the doctor on that Monday that I had off. She got me started on. She got me started on a low dose of Lexapro, and then put me on Ativan until the Lexapro kicked in. It worked. I have to say that worked pretty well for a month or so. And sometime in early October, I believe. I can't remember the date. Sometime middle of October or something around there. I came home and I was having another really bad anxiety attack, that sort of thing. Laying on the couch, babbling like a fool. The same thing happened before, just not at work. Ended up having to take a couple days off of work to just quiet my brain. My wife took care of most of the chores that weekend. Went back to the doctor on that Monday or Tuesday afterward. It's like the Ativan wasn't working anything for the anxiety, and then the Lexapro would just stop altogether. So after I saw the doctor that time, they upped my dose of the Lexapro, and put me on Xanax, which has worked. I've been perfectly fine since October, when I got started on the higher dosage and the Xanax. I've gotten to the point too now where I don't need the Xanax much, if at all, which is good because I like to save that type of medication for like times when I really, really think I'd need it. But I mean, I'm pretty much myself now. I used to be so angry and stuff at everyone because I was dealing with everything. I was trying to sort through all the crap that was constantly running through my head. And it's like I'm finally sorting through all the crap that was running through my head. It's all slowed down, which I'm very thankful for. Because I really don't, I really, I was honestly losing the physical energy to keep up with my anxiety and just keep it under check, which is why I finally broke down a few times. I started taking things slower in general. Before 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 I started all the Lexapro stuff, there was a point where I was like so introverted that eh, I didn't even like talking on the phone or any of that. I still don't like talking on the phone. It's not my thing. But there was a point in time where I wouldn't have even thought about I wouldn't have even thought about you know posting my face on YouTube yet, let alone my voice. But I've learned I've learned through dealing with anxiety and still dealing with it some. It's not completely gone away, but it's where I can finally manage it and do things on my own to keep it under check without people having to constantly baby me and make sure I'm okay. If I could do that, if honestly, if I could do things differently, I probably would have gotten my anxiety under control sooner, so it wouldn't have gotten to the point where I broke down. I was just being stubborn about it, and sometimes, your body chemicals and all that don't work that way. My wife is. My wife told me, she's like, I am just like you. She's like, I am just like you in the fact that I don't like doctors and I really don't believe in taking medication. But she also said something which holds true. If you need the medicine, take it. If you need to go to a doctor or get counseling or any of that, take it. You know, take that chance to get help. It's like don't. I turned 24 in a few months, and my best advice is don't. If you notice the signs of anxiety or any of that earlier on, I started noticing them in high school, but I never got it taken care of then like I probably should have. I would have done a hell of a lot better. And probably would have actually finished my music major too, which is still on hiatus. But but honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Because if it weren't for anxiety, I probably wouldn't have met my wife or, been. If I were driving and all that, things could have probably turned out a hell of a lot different than they are now. But regardless of that sort of thing, if you yourself are noticing signs of any sort of mental disorder and you're where you can and you are aware of it, then don't be stubborn like me. Just get it taken care of before it goes out of hand and start worrying both you start worrying both yourself and your friends and family around you. And take it slow. I've noticed that taking it slow helps a lot too. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice.